Combination Cooks Pest Control and Centricon. Call Cooks to get a free pest and termite evaluation. Champion Stadium, Lake Buena Vista, Florida. Mike Morgan, Brian Jordan, glad to be with you on a beautiful Sunday afternoon as we take a look at the starting lineups first for the visiting Astros. Kind of a mixture of young and old. You got a couple of veterans in that infield with Barmes and Michaels, the two youngsters that we highlighted, Wallace and Chris Johnson. Defensively for Atlanta, late change puts Matt Young in left field with McLeod and Ramirez, Jones, Gonzalez, Ugla, and Freeman around the diamond. And, of course, Brian McCann behind home plate. And his battery mate is none other than the veteran Derek Lowe, having a sensational spring after ending 2010 as the National League Pitcher of the Month in September. First pitch is a ball inside to Jason Bourgois, and we are underway here from Lake Buena Vista. Chopper to shortstop. Gonzalez will handle. One down.
That was pretty easy.
Derek Lowe will take that all afternoon.
All day long. A nice little sinker. Jason just hitting an easy dribble into the shortstop, Alex Gonzalez. Nice.
Well, like I said, it's a mixture of young and old. Clint Barmes has been around a while. He's bounced around from team to team. Some of his best years, of course, in Colorado. And he figures to be a starter in the infield along with fellow veteran Bill Hall this season.
Well, they're expecting a lot of big things out of Clint Barmes, a guy who's, like you said, has experience. And when you're talking about a rebuilding for the Houston Astros, they picked up some pretty good veterans in Bill Hall and bringing Barmes over. And we talked about the two young guns at third and first base. And Jason, I mean, you got a great leadoff guy. He's going to get on base. He's going to steal some bases. He can make a third place hitter very happy.
And don't forget, of course, there's someone by the name of El Caballo who's not in the lineup today, but Carlos Lee expected to be back in the starting lineup for the Astros this season. The question will be, will these young guys be able to help shoulder the load? Because a lot will be depending on their outputs. Nice pitch as Derek Lowe comes through the front door on the breaking ball for a strike.
I think Clint Barmes was waiting for this ball to just run in. Instead, it was like a little tight slider that ran across the plate.
And that's Derek Lowe's kind of his keep me honest pitch. We all know about the split finger, a bunch of sinkers, and he loves to get the ground ball. But every now and then, he'll surprise you with that slider.
And that's why he's so effective. Everybody knows that sinker is almost unhittable. But as a hitter, you go up there expecting to see it. And when you get two strikes, you can't look for just one pitch off of Derek, because he will surprise you with that little slider.
Wallace pulls off that one. Wallace, the lone lefty in the Astros lineup today, actually leads the Grapefruit League with 7 doubles, and again having a terrific spring overall. 0-2 from Lowe is off the plate outside.
You saw Derek Lowe start Mr. Wallace off with a slider in, and then he went away with the sinker, and he came right back with that sinker. So if you're a hitter, you're just trying to protect here.
Stays alive, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Brett Wallace, a former first-round draft pick, and he's been bounced around a bit, traded a number of times in just a few years of work. But the talent's always been there coming out of Arizona State. Wallace leading all major leaguers in spring training in runs batted in. 7 doubles. 2-2 pitch hammered to right. That'll drop in for a base hit. So Brett Wallace's torrid pace continues.
He waited back great on that pitch. It was a slider, really. And he just kept his hands back and did a good job of driving that ball. And look at that ball just break back in on him and stayed back. That's why the Astros are high on that young man.
Wallace batted just .222 in 51 games last year with the big club. But he's going to have the opportunity this year to have a full season under his belt. There's really nobody threatening these two young guns, Wallace and Chris Johnson, who we'll see batting 6th in the lineup today. This, of course, is Jason Michaels, one of the veterans in the lineup. He's another guy that's bounced around from place to place.
Yes, he's been around the league for a while. With Cleveland, he was with Philadelphia.
Wind picking up to right field as the pitch misses downstairs. Bill Hall waiting on deck. Another good crowd here at Champion Stadium. The Braves and Astros meeting for the 5th time this year. The Braves have won the previous 4 meetings here in the Grapefruit League. Of course, the Astros based at nearby Kissimmee, Florida.
Last pitch is slotted by Derek.
2-2 pitch drilled foul. Derek Lowe out of Dearborn, Michigan, an 8th round draft pick of the Seattle Mariners back in 1991. There are a lot of interesting stats and accomplishments on the resume of Derek Lowe.
One is he's very durable. 12 seasons,
yeah.
No DL.
One of 2 active players to have played 12 or more years without going on the DL. Now, the other name might surprise some folks. 2-2 pitch, that's through the hole and into left. So the Astros will have 2 aboard with 2 outs. And Bill Hall will come to the plate. The other name on that list, Livan Hernandez.
Wow. Well, he's Mr. Rubber Arm. So.
He is. The ultimate workhorse.
That's right. He's never going to overpower you, and he's going to keep you off balance as a hitter because he changes speed just about every pitch. And he's a great athlete. A lot of people look at his size, and I tell you, he can move around on that mound. He's a good hitter.
Bill Hall burst onto the scene a few years ago in Milwaukee, and it looked like Hall was going to be one of the better infielders in all of baseball, and since then it's been kind of a bumpy road for the veteran.
And he produces every year. Everywhere he goes, he produces. He has power, he has speed, he's a good defensive player. I'm really surprised at how much he's bounced around the league.
2-0 now, the count to the Astros second baseman. One of the other kind of weird statistical anomalies on Derek Lowe, only one of 3 pitchers to win 20 games in a season and save 40. The others, Eckersley and, of course, John Smoltz. So you're talking about 2 Hall of Famers right there.
You know what? I was looking at his stats, and I saw 85 career saves, and I was really surprised.
I think a lot of people forget about that.
Well, I must be getting old because I forgot all about it.
3-0 pitch is in there for a strike. He also threw a no-hitter back in 2002 against Tampa Bay. That's another statistical note that gets lost in the shuffle when you're talking about Derek Lowe. But he's done a lot of interesting things. He's been incredibly durable. And again, last year, after kind of a slow start, he finished really as the Braves' hottest pitcher. That's right back up the box. Nicely stabbed by the second baseman, Ugla, and thrown to first on 1 bounce in time. Good defense displayed by Dan Ugla from behind the bag. Derek Lowe and the Braves get out of it. Atlanta coming up to bat. And it's normal rate in between 40-60%. And a little bit more of a breeze today. If you hit one out to right field, you got a good chance of getting it out of the ballpark. Braves lineup, you'll see a lot of regulars today. Starting things off, Nate McLeod, who's had a terrific spring. I think it's safe to say he's all but solidified the job in center. He'll be followed by Gonzalez, Chipper Jones. Talk about a terrific spring. He's been knocking the cover off the baseball. Brian McCann back behind home plate, followed by Ugla, Freeman, Wilkin Ramirez, and Matt Young, 2 guys battling for those final outfield spots. And, of course, Derek Lowe, the pitcher, batting 9th. Defensively, for the Astros, Michael, Bourgeois, and Locke in the outfield. Johnson and Wallace at the corners, and again the veterans up the middle, Barmas and Hall. Tolles, a young catcher who they're high on, behind the plate. Figueroa, as in Nelson Figueroa, is the pitcher. The name sounds familiar. He's certainly twirled enough innings around the Eastern Division of the National League to sound familiar. He's a former New York Met. You see the numbers this spring. He's battling for that number 5 spot. 2-0 this spring training with an ERA of 5.00, and he'll be facing McLouth, Gonzalez, and Jones here in the bottom of the first.
Nelson's one of those guys that fairly consistent. He's going to give you some innings. He's not going to overpower you, but he's going to move that ball around, and has a good curveball, good changeup, and speed on his fastball is probably about 86 to 91.
Burns the outside corner with a fastball to McLouth. Nate hitting .297 this spring, a homer, 4 RBIs. He's got a couple of steals. He's playing good defense, and as we've alluded to a number of times, he's got a smile on his face that almost tells the world he's back. Nate McLouth had a 2010 that he would just as soon take the game film, put it in the garbage, and never see it again.
Huge difference from last spring training. He looks comfortable. He looks confident. He's not afraid to take pitches, where last year the first thing he saw, he was just trying to put it in play. But now he looks like he has a clue. He's ready to go.
McLouth from the state of Michigan. 1-2 from Figueroa is fisted foul. It wasn't that long ago that Nate McLouth in his first full season was an all-star with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And when he came to Atlanta, put up some good numbers in the trade. Last year started off poorly in spring training, and Nate could just never seem to get it going. He had a couple of injuries, including a terrible collision in the outfield, and had a couple of stints in the minor leagues, and spent much of his time in the second half of the year with the AAA Gwinnett Club.
I don't care who you are, you don't want to run into Jason Hayward out there in the outfield. And the result of that was a concussion.
And it was really scary. Most of those plays normally are, but like you said, Jason Hayward, when you think about it, Nate McLouth is giving up about 50 pounds, give or take, in that collision. And certainly McLouth got the worst of it. Figueroa with the 2-2 pitch. And McLouth spoils it foul.
This is an outstanding first at bat for Nate McLouth. For one, it allows Alex Gonzalez and the rest of the team to see exactly what Nelson throws. I mean, this is about the 10th pitch, Nelson Figueroa.
Two-two offering, and that one froze McLouth. 90-mile-an-hour fastball and right in the zone.
Nate was looking for an off-speed pitch, and Nelson fooled him with heat right down the middle.
I think sometimes for people like me, Brian, and the average fan out there, they're surprised to see a batter when you hear guessing on a 2-strike count. But that seems to happen a lot today.
Well, it's hard to believe, because the rule of thumb, you get 2 strikes, you always got to look fastball and look just to put the ball in play.
Gonzalez sends this one out of play, about 5 rows back.
You know, so it is surprising, but I don't care how many years you got in. You know, if you see 10 pitches like Nate saw right there, you like to take a guess sometimes. And in spring training, you know, who cares? You know, but during the season, I guarantee you Nate McLouth will be swinging the bat at that fastball.
Alex Gonzalez having a solid spring. Hammers this one to left, but right at the left fielder Michaels, who is stationed perfectly. Otherwise, that probably drops in for extra bases. So the first 2 retired, and that brings Chipper Jones to the plate. And if there was any question marks as to how he's recovered from that knee surgery, well, all he's doing is leading the Grapefruit League with 18 hits. Leading the Braves with 3 homers and 11 runs batted in.
playing good defense at third.
Chipper Jones in his 17th year, all of course with Atlanta, the 1999 most valuable player of the National League. Cook's Pest Control inside the numbers takes a look at the highest batting averages during spring training, and the rest of those guys are out there in Arizona. Chipper Jones getting it done here in the Grapefruit League with a .383 clip. Slaps that one foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count. I was talking about all the interesting numbers on Derek Lowe. Chipper Jones has got quite a few as well. Numbers that will most definitely put him in the Hall of Fame. Nice job of going with the pitch. Serves it in the center for a base hit.
And that right there is what Chipper does so well. You get a fastball and you foul it back, and Chipper here with 2 strikes. You got to be looking fastball, but he manages to keep his hands back. And just, you don't have to swing hard. Just put the ball in play. Man, that's why he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
19th hit of the spring for Chipper Jones. A .306 career hitter is Chipper. Here's Brian McCann. Looks at an off-speed pitch over the plate for strike 1.
Brian just looks in great shape. Lost a couple pounds. Worked really hard on his agility work this offseason. I was teasing him. I said, you look like your feet are a little quicker. You've been running some sprints. And he just smiles. You like to see young kids. He's a 5-time All-Star player. And he's always trying to find ways to improve, and he knows that last year he got tired at the end of the season. A year before he was tired, so now he's trying something different. It's so important to have that endurance down the stretch.
Well, he's a guy like a lot of baseball players. He has the natural hand-eye. I mean, the game almost seems to come easy to him, but you can always get better, and if you get better physically, obviously that can improve your overall game.
He's such a consistent hitter. He's one of those guys that say he's a born hitter.
Swing and a miss, trying to tee off there on a 3-1 pitch. Figueroa not overpowering, but good location in the 90-mile-an-hour heater.
Well, that's why Figueroa is so effective. I mean, he mixes his speeds well. He started Brian off with a curveball. In the back of his mind, Brian knows that he has that in his arsenal. And then he throws that fastball away.
Chipper going. Ground ball to first. Wallace is there. Inside is retired. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. We've completed 1 inning. No score. For 10 game flex pack to secure popular games like opening weekend, Publix Friday night fireworks, kids run the bases, the civil rights game, alumni weekend, bobblehead nights, and more. For the best seat locations, call 404-577-9100 or log on to Braves.com/tickets. Mike Morgan, Brian Jordan with you here in Lake Buena Vista, Florida on another beautiful day. The Braves trying to take down the Astros for the 5th time this spring training. Chris Johnson at the plate. Rolls one over to Ugla, who bobbles it initially. Out number 1, Johnson, who has also had a very good spring. Great rookie season last year for Johnson. And again, they'll be relying on him heavily this season. The Astros really going through a kind of a 2-year rebuilding process. If you remember last year, it was kind of much of the same. They brought in a new manager in Brad Mills. And they did everything they could, but quite frankly, they were outmanned in the Central.
Well, you got to give a lot of credit to Brad Mills. He did an outstanding job with what he had last year. And the thing I like about Brad is, I mean, leadership skills. He enforces that discipline. Players are disciplined right now on the Astros. he's a no-nonsense guy. And they went out there and played hard for him in that second half last year. Unfortunately, got off to such a bad start, and it's tough to kind of catch up from.
Tolles swings and misses. Houston was either at the bottom or near the bottom in just about every hitting category. The lineup really has undergone some big holes to fill when you start losing guys like Bagwell and Biggio, and now Lance Berkman, the latest departure, as Tolles gets caught looking against Derek Lowe. That's the second strikeout for the right-hander.
Yeah, you just see that nasty sinker just running back across the plate. He goes in with that sinker, then he goes back away with a slider, and what are you looking at, Mr. Tolles? Another nasty slider for strike 3. Great pitching sequence by Derek Lowe. Wow, that just missed.
Drew locked the right fielder, the batter. The Astros do have one of the top stolen base guys in all of baseball. Tough play for Chipper. Wow. It's all coming together for Chipper Jones. Could he have a better spring training? Offensively, defensively. It's all going right for the future Hall of Famer. And it's looking pretty good for Derek Lowe as well. No score as we head to the bottom of the second here from Lake Buena Vista. Set to go in the bottom of the second of a scoreless game. A reminder, CSS, the only place to experience it all when it comes to college baseball in the South. Don't miss the action this week as Georgia Tech takes on Georgia. That'll be in Athens, Foley Field, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you catch an SEC-ACC clash. They've been known to square off against one another in Turner Field, which is always a great sight. Mike Morgan, Brian Jordan with you in Central Florida. Scoreless game between the Astros and the Braves. Ugla, Freeman, and Wilkin Ramirez due up against the right-hander Nelson Figueroa.
High expectations on Dan Ugla. Don't look at his spring training numbers because he never hits good in spring training. But once the season starts, once the bell goes off, he comes to play every day.
Were you a guy that slacked a little, dare I say, in spring training?
Well, I wanted to have a decent spring training. I was always worried about my numbers. And I'm a big fan of you get off to a good start, you feel comfortable going into the season.
Nice play by Figueroa on the comeback. So your numbers were more than respectable, is what you said during the spring.
I mean, I had a couple bad springs, but ended up getting off to a great start. You get into those mind games. Well, hey, maybe I shouldn't get off to a good start in spring and I start out slow during the season. But bottom line is you want to work on your time and you want to see a lot of pitches. Whether you take them for strike 3, as long as you see them, you're comfortable with them, you're going to be okay.
That's certainly the case for Freddie Freeman, because here's a guy that obviously is making a huge transition this year as the full-time starter in the major leagues, and he's been in the lineup more than any other starter this year. Freddie Freeman last year with Gwinnett, incredible numbers, one of the top players in all of minor league baseball.
Well, believe me, Freddie Gonzalez knows that, and that's why he's in there every day. He wants to see him look at lefties, righties, see the curveballs, the sinkers that he's going to see during the season, and allow him to make the adjustments now rather than wait until the season time. For a young guy, hey, man, he feels great. He's just happy to be out there every day. He's in great shape. Actually put on a couple pounds last time we saw him in Gwinnett. He told me he gained 12 pounds this offseason, trying to bulk up so that he can last a full season.
A good 12 pounds.
A good 12 pounds, yes.
Drilled a shortstop, vacuumed up by Bonus. 2 gone. Freddie Gonzalez, his first year as the Braves manager, 3.5 years with the Marlins, and of course the third base coach under Bobby Cox in Atlanta for 4 years. And he actually, even during his time in Florida, kept the family in Atlanta. His son was a high school football player, so it wasn't much of a transition coming back. In a lot of ways, he never left.
Not at all. I mean, it was destined to happen. really loved Atlanta when he was here coaching third base for Bobby Cox. And he enjoyed his time in Florida. Did an excellent job. The winningest manager in Florida Marlins history.
Wilkin Ramirez came over in a late under-the-radar trade last season from the Detroit Tigers organization. He's had a good spring. Takes the 1-1 in there for a strike. Again with Ramirez, the tools are there, and he might be a guy that if he doesn't make the big club, you'll see him get a ton of at-bats with Guanetas. He's frozen on that one, and Wilkin Ramirez goes down without a whimper, and so do the Braves in the second. We head to the third, still no score. Day for opening weekend, and don't miss the Abbott Brothers free post-game concert presented by Coca-Cola and Delta Airlines following the Braves-Phillies game on Sunday, April the 10th. For tickets, visit Braves.com/Abbott Brothers. A way to bring in the home schedule with the Philadelphia Phillies, the bad boys of the East, coming to town. Of course, all they've done is bolstered their staff with the addition of Cliff Lee, which surprised everybody in Major League circles.
It really surprised me. That came from nowhere. After Texas just laid out a menu of options to Cliff Lee.
Figueroa chops one. Charging is Gonzalez. And Figueroa, the pitcher, racing down the line. He beats it out.
Figueroa's a great athlete, but see him kind of holding his back. This is a high hopper, tough play. Alex made a good attempt there. Good scoop by Freddie Freeman. Figueroa was moving down the line.
Third hit off of Derek Lowe, all them singles. Back to the top of the lineup. And Bourgeois, former second-round pick of the Texas Rangers in 2000. Jason Bourgeois looks at a strike.
Jason, I think the Astros was expecting a little more out of him last year. He ended up having a decent year, but he got off to a quick start, and all of a sudden he slowed down big time about midway through the season. And this is one of the expected leaders of this ball club, along with Carlos Lee in left field.
Chipper to Ugla to Freeman, double play. And that's a combination the Braves hope to see on plenty more such plays. 5-4-3 twin killing. Quentin Barmas now.
Chipper gets rid of this ball pretty good, and Dan Ugla, that's just an easy throw. But Jason is getting down the line. That's a good double play for the Braves. And that's so Derek Lowe, that sinker. Keeping the ball down in the zone and getting ground ball after ground ball.
Barman struck out looking his first time up. Lowe rifles in the fastball at the knees.
Just looks like he's in a groove right now.
He's been in that groove this entire spring training.
Well, it all started for him about the last 2 months of the season. He made an adjustment, and all of a sudden his season turned around. 16 victories last year.
1-1 pitch. Cook's pest control inside the numbers on ERA for the starters this spring. If we can get another look at that, because those numbers are worth repeating. Derek Lowe, Mike Minor, both under 1. Hanson and Hudson, along with Brandon Beachy, all under 2. What's wrong with Jair Jurgens? I mean, come on, 3.60. He's got to pick it up. In all seriousness, all 5 of those numbers incredibly impressive, and the Braves really have 6 starters right now that are going to have to squeeze into 5 spots as the payoff is fouled away. It's an interesting debate too on who will be that number 5 guy. Mike Minor would be the only lefty in the rotation. Beachy is another right-hander. He has been sensational and already has shown he can do it at the next level. Popped up. McCann battling the sun. He'll make the grab for out number 3. So the double play, the big one in the inning for Derek Lowe. He's on cruise control through 2.5. We're still scoreless. We're scoreless here in Orlando, and we invite you to join us in Gwinnett throughout the season as the AAA affiliate of the Braves are on CSS once again this season. The action starting on April 7th when Gwinnett opens up against the Durham Bulls. Visit css-sports.com to see the complete 25-game schedule. We look forward to joining you throughout the season there at Coolray Field, another great venue in the Braves organization. And you think about some of the talented guys that we've already seen in spring training, not to mention some of those young arms that were here earlier that very likely will spend some time with the Gwinnett club this year. You get your money's worth when you go to Coolray Field. You got to see Jason Hayward grow up right before your eyes, Freddie Freeman last year, and a number of top pitchers that will be showcased this season. Matt Young, who was a late addition to the starting lineup. Mather originally was supposed to be in there, and then he was scratched for reasons unknown. So Matt Young in the 8-hole playing left. This is a guy who, speaking of Gwinnett, played there most of last season and had a terrific year in the International League.
It reminds me of Brooks Conrad, one of those scrappy players. Gives you everything he got. You know what you're going to get out of Matt Young. That's total effort.
They list him at 5'8". That might be generous. But as the expression goes, you can't measure the heart. And Matt Young is about as gritty and gutty a guy as you'll find in baseball. And plays hard every time out, no matter where you put him. And he's played a little bit of everywhere. Outfield, infield. He's a guy with good speed. And he can handle a bat, too. He's not devoid of any hitting talents as he takes strike 2 there, 2-2 the count.
Well, the ongoing joke in spring training is actually talking about his height.
Yeah.
He's saying he's 5'6", and a lot of guys think he's shorter than that. So they've been playing a lot of jokes on my man Matty.
Well, of course, one of the advantages of that, he's got such a small strike zone. And he's a very selective hitter. So sometimes Matt Young comes to the plate and you see pitchers really struggle to find that zone. Count fills up on a check swing. Young waits for the payoff. And there is another walk. He draws plenty.
Good at bat right there. Showing great patience.
Now there is a good shot there. Wallace goes about 6'4". Now is Young cheating? Has he got his foot on the bag? Can't tell if he's got his heel on the bag or not.
Well, hey, I can't talk about Matty because Terry Pendleton was standing beside him, and I don't know who's taller.
I hope there's always going to be a role in the game for players like a Matt Young as low squares. Good bunt. Only play to first. Sacrifice is true, and the Braves have a runner in scoring position with 1 out.
And that's something that Freddie is emphasizing in spring training. Making sure those pitchers get the sacrifice down, moving runners over. It's so important. Getting back to the fundamentals of the game.
Good RBI opportunity for Nate McLeod, who's driven in 4 thus far in the spring. Young with terrific speed. Any ball that gets past the infield, you can almost chalk it up as a run here.
There he is. This is from his Dodger days.
Wind picking up to right field.
Down.
And McLeod looks at a fastball strike.
Nelson doing a good job of spotting that fastball on the outside corner. He's getting that pitch for a strike every time.
fouls that one off at the plate. McLeod with Gonzalez waiting on deck. The Braves trying to score first. Nate McLeod career versus Figueroa. He's had his number, 571 on 4 of 7 at the plate. Figueroa goes 6-1, a $180.
It's that same strike, that same fastball that he took for strike 3 his last at bat. 2 strikes this time. He is hacking.
Close pitch.
It's almost too close to take. Better believe if it's that close this time, you better be swinging.
The 1-2 from the right-hander. McLeod tomahawks that one foul on the play. Fan grabs it on the ricochet.
That's keeping you out on the ball. Which a lot of fans don't do, and a lot of injuries result of it.
Another foul ball sent out of play. The Braves will be on the road the next couple of days. They'll be back here at Champion Stadium on Wednesday. And it's off to the road again. Braves will be spending most of next week away from the friendly confines and getting set for the 2 final exhibition games at Turner Field before taking to the road to take on the Washington Nationals on opening day. And of course it'll be on March 31st. Did you have any preference starting home versus away this regular season?
No.
Got to play 81 in each spot anyway,
exactly.
Right?
I mean, you'd rather start your season at home. You have a little advantage, I guess, but yeah, it made no difference to a player as long as you're out of spring training and the real deal has begun.
2-2 to McLeod. Ground ball to Wallace, tosses to Figueroa. Nice play by the Astros first baseman. Young advancing to third with 2 down. You start to see a lot better defense in late March than you do in early March.
A lot of ground ball practice. Getting better as it goes along.
So Gonzalez will try to cash in an RBI opportunity here. Last year, 2 outs, runners in scoring position. Pretty good numbers. 338, 2 home runs, 32 runs batted in. Alex Gonzalez, who has a World Series ring with the 2003 Florida Marlins. He's more than happy to be an Atlanta Brave. I asked him last year on a road trip in Miami some of the differences between the American League and the National League, and obviously bunting a big one. Not a whole lot of bunting in the AL. And also he said that, you know, in the American League, when you're ahead in the count 2-0, 3-1, you don't see many fastballs. That's much different in the National League. And he had to make that adjustment when coming over to Atlanta.
I know the Braves are hoping he returns to that American League form because he had 15 home runs before that trade last year. And we saw his power numbers drop in the National League.
Ball and a strike. That's into left field for a base hit. And the first run in the form of Matt Young comes to home plate. The Braves lead it 1-0. RBI single for Alex Gonzalez.
And that's that curveball you're talking about. In the back of Alex's mind, I mean, this is a pitch that he drives and runs. Kind of a hanger, and he stayed back. Didn't try to do too much with it. And an RBI single for Alex Gonzalez.
Now Chipper Jones. Chipper Jones, you want to talk about numbers that sneak up on you. Yesterday we talked about the fact a lifetime 300 hitter from both sides of the plate, which is very unique. He has the second highest average in the history of baseball for a switch hitter. Better than one Pete Rose.
Wow.
Ground ball up the middle. It'll be a long run for the second baseman. Hall can't catch up to it. Gonzalez digs for third. He'll be there easily. And they're at the corners with 2 down. 20 hits now this spring for Chipper Jones. He is on fire.
He's going to win the spring training MVP. He's going to win that television everybody's talking about. He stayed on top of a high fastball and just putting the ball in play. It's good base running by Alex Gonzalez, reading this ball up the middle, and he never stopped. Straight to third base. Now that puts pressure on the pitcher. Now he can't throw a ball in the dirt, because Alex will score easily.
McCann with 2 on and 2 out. Chipper Jones all smiles, looking healthy and ready to go in 2011. Trying to add to those career 436 home runs. And there's a fastball in the zone for a strike. McCann, of course, unfortunately will remember this spring training not for any hits or home runs that he has, but rather a foul ball. The one, of course, that struck Luis Salazar right in the face, and eventually, of course, the story well documented now, wound up losing an eye. The good news is that Salazar is much better. They're hoping that he'll be able to manage this year. He wants to get back in the dugout. But obviously that plays tricks with your mind as McCann hits that one right on the hands, and an easy pop up for Hall to handle. But the Braves striking first. A walk to Young, which eventually turns into an RBI single for Alex Gonzalez. We head to the fourth. Braves leading it 1-0. Underway, the Braves leading it 1-0. Chipper Jones 2 for 2. 20 hits so far this spring training, having a terrific spring thus far, and nobody knows better what Chipper can do than Freddie Gonzalez, not only from his time with the Braves, but also as an opposing manager with the Marlins. Here's Freddie.
He's a big presence in that lineup. You know, when number 10 comes to the bat, no matter whether he's hitting 240 or 340, it scares you. Believe me, I was across the dugout because he'll come up with a big hit, and we know going in, and Chipper knows going in, and he's going to be honest with us. There's going to be bad days, and there's going to be good days, and hopefully there's a lot more good days than there are bad.
Well, there is the active RBI leaders in all of Major League Baseball, and Chipper Jones, 4th place behind some pretty big names: Alex Rodriguez, Manny Ramirez, Jim Thome, and of course Jones with 16 years under his belt, 4th place all time. And I mentioned the impressive numbers from a career standpoint. Batting average wise, 306, 436 home runs, only trailing Eddie Murray and some guy named Mickey Mantle all time for home runs by a switch hitter. That one is socked in the right for a base hit. Brett Wallace is 2 for 2.
He just continues to just tear up this spring training. Wow.
I was surprised. I mean, I remember Brett Wallace as a college player at Arizona State, and then all the hype and hoopla surrounding him when he was a first-round draft pick, and I couldn't believe how many times he'd been traded. Usually a guy that's selected that highly with that much money invested in them, those guys wind up staying around for a while with the same team that drafted him, but that's not been the case. I don't think it's a knock on him. That just kind of been circumstances where some good trade offers have come with the respective teams that had the rights to Wallace. Maybe he'll find a nice home in Houston.
Well, a lot of times it comes from a kid being young. It's maturity level. And sometimes that gets in the way with different organizations. And like you said, hopefully he found a home. He's learned from his mistakes, or if any mistakes, in the past. But right now, the Astros have high hopes for him, and this is his opportunity.
Jason Michaels singled off of Lowe his first time up. The Astros have 4 hits, but nothing to show for it. Derek Lowe, 49 pitches, 33 of them have been strikes. And his normal array of ground balls, already 5 of them. That ball is smoked into the gap in left center field. No one going to be able to catch that one as it splits the gap. Wallace rounding third, and he will be there without a throw. Jason Michaels with an RBI double ties it up.
You know, Jason Michaels has a lot of power. He stayed back on, looked like a sinker, and drove this ball in the gap. And Brett Wallace was moving around the bases. The big guy can run.
14 doubles last year for Michaels. And he's a guy you can pretty much pencil in the starting lineup for the Astros this year. As well as this guy, Bill Hall.
Well, I think Michaels is probably going to be the 4th outfielder.
You think so?
You got Pinson right, you got Jason in center, and the big man in left field.
Well, there's some talk that they might actually move Carlos Lee to first. He's lost a step or 2 in the outfield, but certainly if he stays there, then that would squeeze out Jason Michaels. Carlos Lee, El Caballo, as he's affectionately known as, having an off year in 2010.
Well, you got big Brett Wallace at first base.
Yeah.
It's arguably, you can say Carlos Lee, you can deal with his speed, especially with Houston being so short in left field. He really don't have to move around a lot with Carlos Lee.
It's not exactly a pitcher's park, particularly in left field. I think they're going to try some mixing and matching in Houston this season. And again, there's a lot of room for improvement over what the Astros were able to do offensively last year. All tied up in knots on that swing. 2-2 the count. Bill Hall with Chris Johnson on deck.
I think you know what you're going to get out of Bill Hall. I mean, he's a consistent player. If he gets the opportunity to play every day at second base, he's going to put up some good numbers. Wow.
Very close pitch there. Derek Lowe wanted that one.
Good slider. That's strike 3. And I'm not just being biased to the Braves. I'm just saying that's a strike 3. You have to call that.
First full count of the day for Derek Lowe. Check swing, foul ball. Bill Hall's played some outfield in his time as well, but he'll serve as an infielder for this team. Best years coming in Milwaukee.
And that's something that Brad Mills feel good about with Bill Hall. I mean, if worse come to worse, you always can put him in the outfield to play a couple games and move him around.
And Lowe missing the zone on that one for the first walk issued by the right-hander. We're in the 4th inning. The Astros and the Braves tied at 1. Mike Morgan, Brian Jordan. Glad to be with you at Champion Stadium. The Braves trying to pick up victory number 14 this spring. And looking for another great outing from Derek Lowe, who's been dominating, much like the rest of the Braves starters, in spring training. Chris Johnson with 2 on, nobody out. Very good in this spot a year ago. Johnson came up late with the big club, and in 94 games he hit .308, showed some power, 11 home runs, and drove in 52.
Sees a nasty slider by Derek Lowe. I like the patience of this young man. He's not afraid to fall behind in the count.
Strike 2 call. Johnson out of Naples, Florida.
I don't think Johnson liked that call.
I think he thought it was low. He goes 6'3", and he thinks that was below the hollow of the knees. The 1-2 from Derek Lowe.
This kid looks real comfortable in the batter's box. Nice and relaxed hands.
Played his college ball with the Stetson Hatters. Good
Stetson,
program.
Yes.
One of those smaller schools in the state of Florida that puts together very good baseball seasons and very good baseball players, this being one of them. And he moves the count full. 3 balls, 2 strikes, back-to-back full counts for Derek Lowe, laboring just a tad here in the 4th. Challenges him. Fly ball to short right, hauled in by Ramirez, and everybody has to stay put.
Well, that was a good sinker by Derek Lowe. Kind of a late break on it, and really Chris Johnson did a good job of trying to keep his hands in, but that ball just ran in too far.
Derek Lowe last year would get better with time. Started off okay, then sometimes had a rough go of it in the middle innings. But if he could make it past 6, he was dominating, an earned run average of under 1. And again, in the month of September, he was 5-0, a 1.77 ERA, the National League Pitcher of the Month.
He was unbelievable in that last month.
And it was a great sign, too, because anytime you have the career that Derek Lowe has and you start to get up in age a little bit, if you struggle early, some people, you know how it is, Brian, they start saying, well, maybe he started the plateau a bit, maybe he's on the down cycle of his career. I think he answered any of those thoughts with an incredible month of September.
I mean, he really did, and at a perfect time. With all the injuries the Braves had down the stretch, they needed their pitchers to really step up and control the scoring of the opponents, and he did just that, because the Braves offense was not scoring a lot of runs in September. I mean, they were winning a lot of low-scoring games.
Yeah, it was a lot of 3-2, 2-1 scores up in Turner Field. Atlanta wasn't winning a whole lot of those 8-6 type of games. 1-2 the count on the Astros catcher J.R. Tolles. A strikeout victim his first time up.
Let's see if Derek Lowe can throw one of these nasty sinkers and get that ground ball double play.
Pulled foul right into the Astros dugout. Cook's Pest Control inside the numbers. Major League wins leaders here in the last 9 seasons. Derek Lowe ranked 3rd on that list, behind only Roy Halladay and CC Sabathia. He's been pretty much money in the bank. You can chalk him down for 15 wins every year, and that's why he's starting on opening day once again.
He finds a way to win, and it seems like every time he's on the mound, the offense of the Braves picks up. And he's won a lot of games where he's given up some runs.
Big strikeout right there. Derek Lowe's 3rd punch out. and he might make it out of this jam after all.
Well, clearly Toll's looking for a sinker there, and all of a sudden he gets that nasty slider breaking away down and low. Had no chances of hitting that ball.
"70 pitches under the belt of Derek Lowe today, and 71 misses inside. Drew Lock, the right fielder. Two on, 2 outs. The first 3 reached in this inning. Popped up. Foul ground. McCann looks like he has a beat on it and makes no. Home plate umpire says it hit the netting. It was almost a terrific catch by McCann. I thought he was going to run out of room, and in a way he did.
Well, that ball just started coming back, and it was so close to the net. Great effort by Brian McCann. You know, down here in spring, that's one of those scary moments if you're a manager. Okay, just let it drop. Don't kick your toe on the wall. I don't want to see any injuries this late in spring.
That's a rope into left field for a base hit. Should score a run, and it will. The Astros take the lead. An RBI single for Drew Lock.
Derek Lowe just left looked like a curveball up in the zone. Yeah, that was just too high. And a good job by Drew Lock, keeping that front shoulder in and driving that ball to left field for an RBI single.
Now to the pitcher, Figueroa. Figueroa, he doesn't swing like a pitcher, does he?
Yeah, well, he's a pretty good hitter. I remember him with New York, and he put the ball in play.
He already beat out a ground ball, an infield single his first time up.
He's an athlete. He can run. As we saw in that first hit, he got down that line pretty good.
You remember the best hitting pitcher you ever played with? I'll let you chew on that for a while.
Yeah, I got to chew on that. Jeez.
1-2 on Figueroa. 168 for a pitcher. That's getting it done if you're a pitcher. Chopper to Chipper for out number 3. So the side is retired. The Astros put a pair on the board. Middle of the 4th. Houston on top 2-1. You don't want to miss a special preview from CSS spring training around the South. Tune in tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern time to get the latest from Florida on spring training and the start of the baseball season for all your favorite teams. John Smoltz, Tom Glavine, among others, stopping by, and they'll get you ready for opening day on March the 31st. With Brian Jordan, I'm Mike Morgan. It's a 2-1 game now. The Astros have the lead for the first time today. Uggla, Freeman, and Ramirez due up here in the bottom of the 4th. Uggla grounded out his first time up. Bounced it right back to Figueroa. All right, Brian, I gave you a chance to mull it over. Think about all those pitchers that you played with, and there are plenty to choose from in your career.
Well, Mike,
best hitting pitcher.
I'll tell you what, now that we're playing the Astros, he started his career with Houston, and we played together in Atlanta. Mike Hampton.
Good
great
pitcher.
Athlete.
Oh, yeah.
Football player, cornerback. And he could crush the ball.
Sometimes I wonder, as Uggla hacks away at the 1-0 offering, I wonder where Mike Hampton's career would be had he never gone to Colorado. Again, this was before the humidor, and obviously the way the game is played at Coors Field has changed quite a bit. But he took that big contract, went to Colorado, and Mike Hampton went from one of the top arms in baseball to almost an afterthought as Uggla bounces out to third.
Yeah, that's a shame. He's such a competitor. I enjoyed playing behind Mike Hampton because you knew when he went out there on the mound, he was going to compete and give it his all. And he was fun to watch the hit. I mean, he would talk trash about hitting. You know, he was a lot of fun to play with. He kept the clubhouse loose, always cracking jokes. Yeah, if he never went to Colorado, I think he would have still be winning ball games.
He was dominating in Houston. He really burst on the scene in a big way. Freeman 0 for 1, grounded out to shortstop. And this time he'll bounce it to the other side of the infield. 2 gone. Figueroa's getting a pretty good diet of ground balls, much like Derek Lowe is. Some busy infields today. Incredible playing surface here at Champion Stadium. Always seems to be flawless. It doesn't matter what the weather is. Now Wilkin Ramirez golfs one to left. Michaels calling for it, and he'll give way at the last moment to Bourgois. And a quick 1-2-3 inning for the Braves. We head to inning number 5. Special guest speaking with Braves General Manager Frank Wren coming up. Purchasing Braves single game tickets before day of the game will save you $3 on each ticket. Visit Braves.com, the Turner Field ticket windows, or any Publix Ticketmaster outlet today, and secure tickets to opening week versus the Phillies, the Marlins, and the Mets. We've got a bird's eye view here in Central Florida watching the Braves during spring training. It's been our pleasure to bring you Atlanta Braves spring training baseball. We've got another game coming up on the 26th. That'll be a road contest, Port St. Lucie, when the Braves and the Mets do battle in one of the final spring training tune-ups before opening day. This will be pitch number 78 for Derek Lowe as the arms continue to get stretched out here late in the month of March. Bourgois 0 for 2.
Gotta wonder what is his pitch count for today, this late in spring.
I would think this is going to be the last inning one way or another. Of course, we've already documented just how durable that arm for Derek Lowe is. No stints on the DL and over 12 years of work.
That's incredible.
For a pitcher especially. In this day and age where guys get on the DL for a number of different reasons. There's another punch out for Lowe. That's 4 on the day.
It's just a nasty slider breaking away. And as a hitter, you're looking for that Derek Lowe sinker. I mean, in the back of your mind, you know he has a great sinker. And that's why that slider today is just so effective.
Rounder to third, chipper, 2 gone. And this is exactly what Derek Lowe needs, an economical 5th inning. We're expected to see Peter Moylan, Eric O'Flaherty, and George Sherrill today. 7 groundouts for Derek Lowe today, so a good number for him.
Brett Wallace, the up-and-coming future.
You like what you see out of this young man?
I really do. I really do. I like the way he sits back. Doesn't matter what Derek Lowe throws him, he's behind every pitch.
Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pulling off the pitch was Brett Wallace, who's 2 for 2. Signal to right both times against Lowe.
Derek Lowe took a lot off of that sinker. 83 miles an hour. Breaking away from Mr. Wallace. See if he comes back with that pitch. And there it is.
You'll rarely see Derek Lowe above 90, 91 miles per hour. But
as the season goes on, he heats up.
Yeah.
He'll hit 92, once in a while late in the season. He has good control on that sinker. It's like you don't have to throw it that hard.
Well, that's the key. I mean, I think the notion we've become so obsessed with the radar gun. Derek Lowe's the kind of guy that proves you don't have to be. And right there, that's only 89 miles an hour. But when you paint the inside corner, that's all you got to do. Give him a handful of strikeouts. Derek Lowe recovering well in the fifth. Halfway home, our score 2-1 Astros. One-run ball game at Champion Stadium. Don't forget to tune in to Sports Night for extensive March Madness basketball coverage from our pro and NCAA experts. Mondays, it's Brian Oliver with the insight on college hoops. And Tuesdays, Dennis Scott will get you squared away on the NBA. That's weeknights at 6 and 11 Eastern on CSS. How about those Richmond Spiders, Brian Jordan?
Hey, we caught more head state in the web, baby.
First time in, I believe, 23 years that Richmond has been to the Sweet 16.
And I was actually at Richmond at that time.
Young racing as he tries to win the foot race at the bag. Unable to do it, though. New shortstop for the Astros. That's Jonathan Villar. Barmas is out. And somewhat surprising, Derek Lowe going to grab a bat and hit, so we'll probably see him for another inning. His pitch count over 80 now. And Derek Lowe seems fine, ready to go a little bit longer. Lowe had to sacrifice his first time up. Takes a fastball strike. Did you go to any of the games when Richmond was in the Sweet 16?
No, I was actually a student back then. And, you know, we don't get any time off. Come on, Mike.
I wasn't insinuating you would ever skip class, but it's been known to happen.
I was right in front of the TV yesterday.
1-1 pitch. There's why Derek Lowe has a bat. Says, hey, I'm feeling it. Base hit.
His bat, he was feeling it too. He hit it off the end, and that's probably the last swing that bat will see. That's a broken bat.
One out single for Derek Lowe. Nate McLouth looking for his first hit of the day.
Another way to show the hitters how to hit the ball. I love when pitchers do that.
Just the fourth hit of the day for the Braves. Now Derek can get some cardio in. Maybe McLouth will hit a gapper. Third baseman cheating in. Nice play by Wallace at first and dropped by the recently inserted Villar. An error all the way.
Wow, that's just lack of concentration. It's a good play by Brett Wallace. Well, the throw was a little off, but we got to make that play. Jonathan Villar, you got to catch that ball.
Derek Lowe is about 50 feet away from the bag, so he certainly wasn't worried about anybody sliding in. So 2 on, 1 out. Alex Gonzalez, who has accounted for the only Braves run of the day, an RBI single back in the third. .286 this spring for Gonzalez. Flag now rippling to right pretty good. Haven't seen a whole lot of fly balls hit to right. That's a good thing for pitchers.
That's why you haven't seen a lot of fly balls to right field. They know how to pitch the hitters.
They're getting a lot of ground balls.
That's right. Throw them in. Right-handers in and lefties away.
In there for a strike. When you start looking at the batting order, which this time of year we all kind of put our managerial caps on, we've talked about the debate in terms of who's going to hit leadoff and the 2-hole. 1-2 pitch, chased it, and goes down swinging. I think the middle of the lineup is pretty well set. The question is, where does Alex Gonzalez fit in everything?
Well, I think Alex probably going to start the season off probably seventh hitter, seventh place hitter, hitting in front of Freddie Freeman. Or that might be the other way around. Freddie may hit 7 and Gonzalez may hit 8.
We know that in the middle you've got Chipper, McCann, Hayward, and Uggla. And that's as strong as the middle of the Braves lineup has looked in quite some time.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you flip a coin to your leadoff guy. You know Prado can get the job done. He's going to take walks. He's going to drive balls in the gap, drive them over the wall. You know, you arguably can say Nate McLeod could lead off and allow Prado to have that back control at second, you know. So if you're Freddie Gonzalez, you know, it may come down to righty starter versus lefty starter, who's going to lead off. I mean, you have those options. I mean, I know he would love to have that consistent leadoff guy that you can pencil in every day.
1-1 to Chipper is fouled away.
Like every manager would. But just as a closer, it may come down to situation. But it's a luxury to have when you know guys are playing well in spring and playing with confidence. It's just going to be an exciting season if everybody stays healthy for the Atlanta Braves.
Jones waiting on the 1-2. Hot shot. Bobbled by Hall. Jones is safe, and the bases are loaded with 2 outs.
And Chipper's 3rd hit of the ball game. A good effort by Bill Hall, just stopping that ball. Really kept a run from scoring.
21 hits now this spring for Chipper Jones.
And Chipper hits this ball pretty hard. Good stop by Bill Hall, kept a run from scoring. And let's see if Mr. McCann, with bases loaded, 2 outs, can tie this ball game or put the Braves ahead.
Career with the bases loaded, 352. How about 7 home runs, 7 grand slams already for Brian McCann?
That is incredible.
There are guys that go a whole career without a grand slam. Takes a fastball. That one must have been a little bit low.
This is the same way he started Brian McCann off last at bat. Fastball in, just missing. And then he followed it up with that same fastball for a strike. I wonder if Brian McCann is looking for that pitch this time around.
1-0 pitch. I'll put it in perspective for you. McCann already with 7 grand slams. Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith in 9,396 career at-bats never had a grand slam.
That's not a good comparison. You got to go for a home run hitter. Ozzie Smith, no way.
But he did hit some home runs. He did hit some long balls. A couple of big ones in the postseason. 2-0 pitch. Eats Hall up at second into right field. 1 run scores. McLeod scores. And the Braves regain the lead. It's 3-2. Brian McCann with RBIs number 5 and 6 of this spring.
And that's why Derek Lowe wanted to stay in the game. He wanted to get it started so he can get a win today. And Brian McCann just blistered that ball up. I mean, that really ate Bill Hall up. But the thing that I noticed most was Chipper Jones went from first to third, showing the good health of that knee. A great sign for the Braves once again.
I think Chipper's moving around better this year after the knee surgery than he did before the knee injury last year.
I'll tell you, he really worked hard this offseason. He's on a mission. You know, a lot of people talk about he's getting older. He's on a mission. He's proven that, you know, he's still young enough to really perform at a high level.
Brian McCann with the hit of the day thus far. Our Cook's Pest Control inside the numbers. How about this? A little tail of the tape. The early totals for Brian McCann and Joe Torre, former Braves catcher. And as you look at that, it's amazing the similarities. The same amount of home runs, similar in average, RBIs, walks, and strikeouts. This is before Joe Torre, of course, made the transition to third base when he became a St. Louis Cardinal. But that's not bad company to be with if you're Brian McCann.
No, it's not. Hall of Famer Joe Torre.
We saw Joe here the other day in the think tank room with Bobby Cox and Freddie Gonzalez, Frank Wren, John Scherholz. A lot of brain power in that room. Was kind of intimidating. We got out of there quick.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was not a place where we wanted to be.
Can we offer you a cold beverage? We'll be on our way now. Each team now with 6 hits. Dan Uggla with a chance to drive in another here. And the count fills up. 3 balls, 2 strikes on the Braves' second baseman. Jones at third, McCann at first. Uggla at the plate, a scenario we could be talking about quite often in 2011. Just got under it. A mile-high fly ball to left. Michaels waits for it to come down and puts the squeeze on it for out number 3. But the Braves picking up 2 runs on 3 hits and an error. Atlanta has the lead 3-2. Well, as if you didn't have enough incentive to get Braves tickets, purchase any Braves full season, half season, weekend, or 20-game plan and be automatically entered into daily drawings to win one of 20 spectacular prizes. The sooner you purchase, the more prizes and chances you can win. Prize winners drawn daily. So purchase today by calling 404-577-9100 or go online at Braves.com. New second baseman is Ed Lucas. Dan Uggla will take a seat in the dugout. Derek Lowe working what I would imagine would be his final inning. Lowe stands to be the winning pitcher now with a 3-2 lead. 91 pitches for Derek Lowe today.
Wow. Let's see here. It's what, 2 more starts left before the season? It's still a high total.
I guess everybody's different. The more we try to come up with formulas for pitchers, the more we realize, you know, they're all their own unique guy. It drives some of the old timers crazy when you hear things like pitch counts and how many days rest a guy needs to ball inside the line and all the way into the corner before Young digs it out. Have yourself a day. Jason Michaels 3 for 3, his second double of the day.
He's trying to put his claim in on the 3rd or 4th outfielder, depending on what they do in left field. Or just painted the line.
Now Bill Hall. Seven hits now surrendered by Lowe. We talked about Derek Lowe, the great end to last season in the regular season. He was also good in the postseason. Had a good start against the Giants. Like a lot of pitchers for Atlanta during that tough stretch with all the injuries, a lot of guys were, dare I say, robbed of victories, had to settle for either no decisions, sometimes even losses, even when they pitched well. Just a lack of run support. I don't think that's going to be quite the problem this season. Again, as you mentioned, Brian, barring injuries, as long as this team stays healthy. But I even think everybody's going to have injuries. Even if a guy goes down, I think this team is more prepared to fill in the holes than last year's team was.
No question about that. Especially after last year, a lot of guys that had to come off the bench did a great job. So now, I know Freddie Gonzalez is really confident about his bench.
Ground was short. Gonzalez, one away.
When you talk about lack of run support in the playoffs, you got to give San Francisco a lot of credit. I mean, the Braves hitters faced some really tough pitchers out there in San Francisco, and they were just as outstanding as our pitching staff here was during that time.
I don't know if anybody was going to hit Tim Lincecum that first night. He was absolutely on fire. Derek Lowe. A round of applause for the veteran right-hander. He'll hit the showers. The Braves leading it 3-2. We'll tell you about the new Braves pitcher when we return. We're in the sixth. The Braves leading it 3-2, and trying to hold on to that lead is Peter Moylan, the Aussie. His 7th appearance of the year, an earned run average of 3. Good numbers overall. Not too many base runners allowed and 7 strikeouts in those 6 innings. Peter Moylan has been a valuable reliever the last few years. Kind of a diamond in the rough for Atlanta. And a guy that's been extremely durable. Cook's Pest Control looks at the relief appearances. The leaderboard for 2010 in the National League. Feliciano for the Mets at 92. Moylan second on that list with 85. And with some of the injuries on the staff last year, including the one to O'Flaherty, in which he missed a good amount of time late in the year, that put more pressure on guys like Peter Moylan to shoulder the load. Close the book on Derek Lowe, 99 pitches. He, of course, is responsible for the runner at second. And has a chance to get a win if Peter Moylan can prevent a run from scoring here. Chris Johnson coming to the plate, 0 for 2. Moylan, the side armor, misses down low.
Peter is so effective because of the movement he has on every pitch, especially throwing from that weird angle. You know, for me personally, I did not like to face side-on pitchers.
Fly ball to right. Angling back is Ramirez, still going, and the wind got a hold of that one as it'll one-hop the wall and go into right. A ground rule double, and that ties it up at 3.
Oh, that's a nasty sinker running in, and this kid is special. Chris Johnson just got his hands in and drove that ball, showed his power to right field on an inside pitch. Wow, that has to make a hitting instructor pretty excited.
The two guys we highlighted at the top of the show for Houston looking pretty good today. And that's the future, Wallace and Johnson. Of course, they've got some other pretty good young players like Bourne and Hunter Pence as well, not playing in this game today. Tolles the catcher, 0 for 2. He's glad to see Lowe out of the game. He struck out twice against him. Nasty pitch there by Moylan as that one floats over at 77 miles an hour. A couple of years ago, Peter had Tommy John surgery on his right elbow. And then in 2009, he set a franchise record, 87 appearances.
If you're Mike Barnett, the hitting coach for Astros, I mean, you got to be excited about that kid on second base, Chris Johnson. And what he did to that pitch to Peter Moylan was just unbelievable.
Hot shot to shortstop. Nicely fielded, and a good decision by Gonzalez to chipper, and they get the lead runner. That's a great play all around.
A bad base running by Chris Johnson. The ball hit in front of him. There's no way you got to freeze and go back to second on that play. Good reaction by Alex Gonzalez, and way to be alerted for Chipper Jones.
How many times do you and I say that in the course of a game? Bad base running. Doesn't matter what level.
Yep, talk about fundamentals. But just to end my comment, hitting instructor Mike Barnett has to be excited about this kid, Chris Johnson. I mean, you get a pitcher like Peter Moreland throwing a nasty sinker sidearm, and he was able to get his hands in and drive that ball to right field on one hop RBI double. It's just amazing, and that's why they're excited about the future for that kid.
Locke takes a pitch inside, strike called. 1 ball, 1 strike the count. Locke 1 for 2. The pitcher due up, but looks like it's going to be a pinch hitter for the Astros if Locke should reach. Swing and a miss, strike 2. It's been a long road for Peter Moylan. 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Peter Moylan gets the strikeout, but not before the RBI double by Johnson ties it up. 3-3 our score. As we get you set for the bottom of the 6th, a tie ball game. Braves and Astros 3-all. We're pleased to be joined by Derek Lowe in the dugout. Derek Lowe throwing 99 pitches today. And Derek, I guess it's safe to say you're pretty well stretched out after today, huh?
Man, I felt every one of those. I think my last game, it was a quick game, 5 innings. I think I threw 52 pitches, so I just about doubled it today. And man, did I really I felt it there the last inning or so. But I mean, it's very important to have that feeling. And so overall, all in all, you're pretty pleased with the day.
Well, D-Lo, I know last year after the second half, you made an adjustment and you were just dominant in September. I mean, coming into spring training, you know, what are the things that you're working on?
Well, more importantly, I'm trying not to work on anything. I think that with me, sometimes I can get a little too carried away with tinker and stuff. And so basically all I do is I watch video to make sure I'm doing the same thing. And you know, like you said, it was able to work last September. And so far, the spring training, it's worked. And so it's good not to feel like you got to work on anything going into the season.
Derek, talk about that September a little bit more. 5-0, a 1.77 earned run average. You were obviously a huge part of the Braves staying in the thick of things when all those injuries were coming left and right. What was the difference for you?
There's no doubt was the ability for me to throw my breaking ball, not only for strikes, but for being able to throw it out of the zone and get some strikeouts. So that was the best breaking ball that I've had since I've been in Atlanta. You know, where it had been, I have no idea, but it was good to kind of find something to get back to where you're pretty much not just a one-pitch pitcher, and we've added a cutter that I've been able to throw to both sides. So yeah, it was much more enjoyable September than the previous months.
D-Lo, what do you think about this new bullpen line breaking, George Sherrill? How does that help this Braves team?
I like it. We got power arms. Billy Wagner was obviously tremendous for us, but Venters and Kimball, I know they're excited to get a chance to have that closing thing. However it goes, we have confidence in everybody, but power arms is so important to have, and obviously with George, he's a little bit more of a finesse guy, but we like it. We feel like we can compete with anybody, and we look forward to hopefully staying healthy the next 8 days and get out of here.
Derek, you've certainly been on some very good rotations throughout your career on multiple teams. Where do these 5 and perhaps 6 guys stand in terms of some of the staffs you've been on throughout your career?
Well, everyone's going to get compared to Philly right now, but we believe the key word is healthy. We believe if we can go out there and pitch our 5 guys and give us 30 to 34 starts, that we're going to have a tremendous chance. And you're going to have to pitch, and we feel like that's one of our strengths. So, how to compare it, I think it's a little early because we have a lot of younger guys and JJ and Tommy and whoever wins the 5th spot. But I look forward to it.
Well, Derek, I know you look forward to a great season. We do, too. And if we don't talk to you before then, we'll see you on opening day.
All right, great. Thanks, guys.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Derek Lowe joining us. And, again, we appreciate all the Braves players and personnel taking the time to join us here on our broadcast from spring training. And Derek Lowe, really the anchor of that staff, and has had a very good spring thus far. As you see, Ramirez showing off some speed there as he slides in. Ramirez, by the way, reaching on an error, they wound up calling that. So not a hit, but he still gets credit for the stolen bag and a runner in scoring position with 1 out.
This is what Wilkin, he adds to this ball club, and speed. He's not afraid to take off. And I'll tell you, pretty good throw there by the catcher, but shortstop's having a tough time holding on to the ball.
Some wholesale changes for the Astros while we were away. We'll tell you about them in just a moment, including a new pitcher. Henry Rodriguez on the mound right now in relief of Nelson Figueroa. 3-3 game. The big hit for the Braves today, a 2-run single by Brian McCann. Alex Gonzalez also driving in a run, that accounting for all 3 of Atlanta's runs. Brooks Conrad is on deck for Atlanta, so we will not see Peter Moylan again. Not today, anyway.
We talk about that outfield battle and Wilkin Ramirez. You talk about a guy with all the tools. Got traded over from Detroit last year. I really think Frank Brennan guys are excited about him. He's been pretty impressive this spring, and you talk about a 4th or 5th outfielder, a guy who could possibly play center field. He can play right field, left field, and come off the bench late, steal some bags. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Wilkin.
That's Dopurik, the new first baseman, so Wallace is out. New second baseman, Enrique Hernandez. And Tommy Manzella's at third, so wholesale changes for the Astros. An entirely new infield than what they started with. Here's Manzella. We saw him last year in spring training. And a new left fielder as well, Jake Gobert. Conrad, who had the big home run yesterday, looks at a strike.
Wow. 2 nasty sliders to start off with Conrad.
This is something that could be done if you start. It almost becomes like a game at this point for us as fans and announcers and everybody else, trying to guess who that 25-man roster is going to be, the final guys. Most teams carry 5 outfielders. Conrad could be kind of that 4.5 outfielder, if you will, if you carry 4 and then put Conrad as a utility guy. This is what Brooks did yesterday, blasting a home run to center field. Would have stood up as the winning run eventually. The Mets came back to tie it, and that's how that game would finish. But good to see Conrad doing some yard work for the first time this spring.
He did that from the right side. Switch hitting Conrad. Just gives you a lot of options. You can hit off right-handers, left-handers. And he hits for power. He's really kind of learned that pinch hitting role, coming off the bench, being prepared, and got a lot of help. Mr. Hinsky and learning how to do that.
2-2 pitch. Smacked hard to center field. Bourgois racing back, backpedaling, and leaps and makes the catch. Ramirez tags and advances to third. Brian, I don't know, your former outfielder, Bourgois, looked like he was on shaky ground there for a while, but he made a nice play.
Well, no, I mean, that ball was hit hard, and then you got the wind blowing in and blowing the right field, so you know the ball's going to be shifting around, but he's so athletic, he can open up his hips and turn back for that ball and, make it rather easy.
You say turn the hips, kind of like a defensive back.
Defensive back. Good skills to have on the baseball field.
Did you ever just want to hit somebody when you made a catch in baseball? Did your football instincts come into play? Only clock somebody?
Only when I was ready to score and the catcher may have been blocking the plate. That's about it.
I'm guessing you won most of those battles.
Well, I can say I did. Here's
McLeod. The Braves center fielder 0 for 3. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think Brooks Conrad makes the team. I think that race for that final position player comes down to a couple of different guys, including Ramirez. It's in there for a strike.
I mean, after the year Brooks had last year, I really believe he deserves to be on this ball club. It's not a matter of what he's doing down here in spring training. You know what he can do off the bench. You know what he can do when he plays on a regular basis. He has speed. I wouldn't be surprised if he's, like you said, a 4.5 outfielder.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy can do it all.
He's even tried a little bit of first base this year, just in case.
He reminds me of Prado. I mean, whatever it takes, he's willing to do.
Just off the plate for McLeod. You really don't want a scenario where Freddie Freeman goes down with an injury. The Braves a little bit thin at first. Some might say, well, what about Hinske?
Well, Hinske played a little first last year.
Yeah.
And you got Prado, who can play a little first base.
I'm convinced Prado could pitch if you asked him to. Put on the catcher's gear. He'll do anything it takes. He'll probably do it well.
And that's what I mean when I say Freddie Gonzalez has a lot of options. A lot of athletic players on this ball club that is willing just to get in that lineup to do anything. I do not like that move. Third to first base by a pitcher. Although I've seen it work a couple times, including me, and got me one time.
You fell for that?
Yes, I did.
Oh, Brian. So disappointed. And McLeod squeezes a walk out of Rodriguez. Sacks are packed. 2 gone for Alex Gonzalez. Gonzalez driving in a run back in the third on an RBI single. That was off of Figueroa. 1 for 3 on the day. Three game. The Braves being out hit by the Astros 8-6. Houston with the only errors in this game, 2 of them. That's another area I really expect the Braves to be much improved from a year ago. Defense. Nobody can really explain the bevy of errors in the second half of the season last year. It should have never have been that bad of a defensive team, but I think this year they'll be much improved. Pop up behind second. Catch is made for out number 3. And the Braves unable to get that go-ahead run. We head to inning number 7. 3-3 our score. 7th inning, a 3-3 game. Mike Morgan, Brian Jordan with you here at Champion Stadium on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. And the hit parade of guests just keeps on coming. And anytime you can get a guy with 2,500 plus victories under his belt, you grab him. And that's what we did with Bobby Cox, enjoying life after the managerial career. But Bobby, I know you're very much still involved in the game, and thank you so much for joining us first off.
Yeah, you bet, guys. It's good to be with you, and I'm enjoying this spring immensely. It's been a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun with my family, and got to play a little more golf than normal, and enjoy watching these Braves that Freddie's got ready to go here.
Now, John Sherholtz told us yesterday that you've taken to your new role like a duck to water. You're enjoying life after being in the dugout every day.
Well, I have enjoyed it, and I'm going to get to see a lot of our minor leaguers when their season begins, and I've enjoyed watching Freddie run this camp. He's got everybody in great shape and good spirits, and I think everybody that he wants to see do well is doing well right now.
Well, Bobby, I mean, we talked the other night when I handed you the Lifetime Achievement Award, and watching the game with your wife for the first time in the stands. I mean, how was that?
It felt odd, you know. I told her the night before, I said, you know what, this is going to be the first time in 35 years we've ever sat together at a ball game and actually sat outside and watched it. And it was fun. And we've done it 3 or 4 times since now. And, you know, I mean, we're both experiencing things that we haven't done in a long time.
And the grandkids are doing good? They're enjoying it?
They've been down, some of them, and, you know, we'll be able to spend more time with them for sure when we get back. And, you know, it's been a great spring. I've had a blast doing this, Brian.
Awesome.
Gobert at the plate. Leading things off, the new Braves pitcher is George Sherrill, one of the relievers we've been talking about throughout this spring training. Bobby, I want to go back to a year ago, and obviously I know it wasn't the perfect ending as this one chopped to second, one away, but certainly to get back to the playoffs for the first time since 2005 in a perfect world, you wouldn't have had all those injuries and so many things to deal with. Is last season still kind of a blur? I mean, what do you take from last year?
Well, you know, we got back into the playoffs for the first time in a few years, so I thought that was important for the organization. And you know, we got beat by 1 run every game, I think, and you know, we were right there. We were missing, you know, some big boys in that lineup, but you know, so were the other guys. So you know, it's a game that you play and hope you don't have injuries, but it hits everybody at some point in time.
How great was it in that final season to make it back to the postseason?
Well, it was good. I didn't want to go out a loser, that's for sure. And you know, once you make the playoffs, that's good. And you know, you want your endeavors to win the World Series, and you know, we just missed going a little bit further on, and you know, the Giants end up winning, went right through Philly, and they became world champions. So we're hoping Freddie Gonzalez, his first year at the helm with the Braves, will experience that this coming year.
Well, let's talk about this coming year, Bobby. 5th starter, so critical for any ball club. And we got Mike Minor, you got Beachy, and Rodriguez battling for that last position. What do you see in that spot?
They have all thrown very well for me. Minor has thrown well. Lopez, I saw him pitch 5 innings here yesterday, and I thought he threw the ball very well. And of course, Beachy, you know, he threw 5 innings of 2-hit ball and no runs. So that's going to be a hard decision for Freddie and the staff, but whoever it's going to be, I think as a 5th guy, you got a dynamite rotation.
That's right.
What did you think about the acquisition of Dan Uggla?
Good. I think Danny's going to supply that right-handed power that we've been missing for the last couple years, and he's a good one. He's generally a slow starter in the spring, but once that bell rings, he turns it on. He's a great kid. He gives you everything he's got every single day, and he's a hustler. And you know, he's a lot better defensively than people have given him credit for. I think, you know, the All-Star game kind of stuck with him there for a while, but Freddie likes him a lot, and he's got great power, and he's going to be a run producer.
I got to ask you about Jordan Schaefer. I know last year, you know, it was a rough year for Jordan Schaefer. This year, he's trying to battle back and battle for that spot in center field. I mean, what do you think about Jordan Schaefer?
I think he's got a lot of talent. He can throw. He's very accurate with his arm. He can run, and he can shag the ball. And I don't know how the last few guys are going to be chosen on the team, but if he would have to go back and play a full year, it sure wouldn't hurt him. He's missed a lot of baseball, and he's got talent, and you know, he should get back here. If he doesn't make it this year, he'll be up sometime.
Bobby, we're talking about this with John Sherholtz, and that he and you as well, you're going to have a lot of Hall of Fame ceremonies to attend here pretty soon. Of course, you're going to be a Hall of Famer, and you've got a lot of players, former players, that are going to be Hall of Fame guys here before too long.
Well, you know, it's something I don't really think about, but it sure would be nice. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I've enjoyed every minute of my baseball career, and you're right. You know, we've got Mad Dog, Maddox, we've got Glav, we've got Smoltz, and John Sherholtz will go in someday as well. And in fact, John and I are going to fly and see Pat Gillick, the old GM of the Phillies and Seattle and Baltimore and all those teams, and he's going to be inducted, so we're going to go see that one.
Villar, who came in the game in the last inning, unable to check his swing, and that'll be a strikeout for Sherrill. 2 gone here in the 7th of a 3-3 game. And of course, Chipper Jones will be another guy that one day we'll be talking about in the Hall of Fame. How fun has it been for you to see a healthy Chipper Jones this spring?
I tell you what, he hasn't shocked me by any means, because I think he's determined. He's going to play and play well. But you never know, coming off that type of knee, his second one, what's going to happen. But golly, he has hit the ball well. He's ran well. He's caught the ball. He's done everything like Chipper Jones always does. So I'm excited. I really am excited for him.
How about Freddie Freeman? I know I had a chance to watch him all season long, make adjustments, and really have an outstanding season last year in Gwinnett. What do you feel about him? I mean, in spring training, he's working hard, but
yeah, I like him a lot, Ryan. I saw him as a 19-year-old, and I thought he had a great swing. It's a simple swing. There's not a lot of moving parts in it. And the good thing about Freddie is that he's already a terrific defensive first baseman. Right. So, whatever he's going to hit, and I think he's going to hit and hit big. It's going to be his rookie year. You never know what they're going to hit, but he's going to hit 300 someday. There's no doubt in my mind. I like him an awful lot.
Swing and a miss, strike 3, and that's how the inning comes to a close. Impressive inning for George Sherrill. Bobby Cox, always a pleasure to talk to you. Enjoy life after baseball.
Thank
you so much.
Thanks, Bobby.
We'll be
Brian.
back bottom of the 7th. Top seat locations to see Chipper, Uggla, McCann, Prado, Huddy, Hayward, and the rest of your Braves at Turner Field are selling fast. Ticket plans starting as low as $50, including as little as 5 games or as many as all 83 home games. To go ahead and get your tickets now, visit Braves.com or call 404-577-9100. Well, I can't say thank you enough for the Braves supplying some of our great guests throughout these broadcasts. Bobby Cox, you could sit and talk baseball with him for hours.
Oh, man. Yes,
one of the gentlemen of the game and one of the all-time greats. New pitcher for the Astros, Gustavo Chachin. We saw him last year. And so far, he's pitched pretty well. Brandon Hicks has entered the game defensively for Atlanta, and he'll be in the lineup now. We're still trying to sort out, to be honest with you, some of the lineup changes. They're coming fast and furious here. Boscan is on deck. So most of the starters out of the game at this point for Atlanta and for Houston. Hicks takes outside. 1 ball, 1 strike to Brandon Hicks.
I really like Brandon Hicks. Perfect size. You think of Cal Ripken, big shortstops. Brandon Hicks, he's already, I think, has the skill to play defense at the big league level, but he definitely has improved with the bat. And that's something that hopefully he'll get a whole year in AAA, just 500, 600 at-bats to really work on it. Last year, because of the injuries, he was brought up a lot and sat on the bench for the Atlanta Braves.
Stung that one hard, but right at the right fielder. Locke puts it away, 1 gone. Locke might be the only remaining starter left. Esposito, the new catcher for the Astros. Whole lot of chicken scratch going on in the scorebook at this time. Boscan. Terrific defensive catcher. Right now, number 3 on the depth chart.
Boscan has a terrific arm. It's almost like a shotgun when he throws guys out at second base. Once he puts it all together, he's going to be in the big leagues for a long time.
One ball, 1 strike. The lefty fires. Lucas on deck for the Braves. Joining us late. The Braves 3 runs coming on a RBI single by Alex Gonzalez and a 2-run single by Brian McCann. No home runs in this game, despite the fact that the wind has been gusting pretty well to right field all afternoon. Ball's gone. Base hit. That'll feel awfully good for that young man. If the bat ever comes around, J.C. Boscan is going to be a major league catcher for a long time.
Well, that's his 4th hit of the spring, 4 for 11. Not a bad average. High fastball on the outer half of the plate. Just a short, quick swing. And I know the hitting instructor's really been working with J.C. trying to shorten up his swing, and that looked pretty good.
This is Ed Lucas. Takes the pitch high. .321 batting average for Lucas in 16 games thus far. Resides in Deltona, Florida. Sprays one to right for a base hit. And a couple of guys that don't figure to be on the opening day roster, but certainly making the most of their opportunities late here in spring training. 2 on, 1 out.
Talk about bad base running. Ed Lucas drives this ball to right field, and J.C. Boscan, you got to be looking at your third base coach. And he is automatically committed to slowing down instead of looking at his coach first.
Never glanced at him.
And Snicker was telling him to come on. He saw the bobble out there in right field. And that's important in the 3-3 game in the seventh inning. You got to be aggressive.
That's a good point. Snitker coaching third. Terry Pendleton, the new first base coach this year.
And that's the difference. It would have been an RBI sacrifice for Freddie Freeman.
And Freddie flies out to center. 2 away.
Keep saying it, the fundamentals. Base running.
It's gone the way of the mid-range jump shot, Brian.
That's right.
Guys don't work on it as much and don't put as much effort into it. Good chance for Wilkin Ramirez to pick up a big hit. Tie game, bottom of the 7th. Wilkin looking for his first hit of the day. Nice stop there by Esposito, who just came in the game.
This would be a great opportunity for Wilkin to help his cause.
Swings and drives one toward the corner. That'll get all the way to the wall. 1 run scores. And 2 runs will score as Lucas slides in safely, and the Braves have the lead 5-3. Over to third is Ramirez. The Braves now with 9 hits.
That's a good job by Ramirez. He got a ball up over the middle and just drives this ball. But the thing that I'm most impressed with Wilkin is he never stopped running. He saw the ball being thrown at home, and he kept running easily into third base. And the little things like that, Freddie Gonzalez is paying close attention to.
Give Ramirez a 2-run double, takes third on the throw. And now Matt Young to the plate. One and one.
I was talking about speed. Wilkin got to third base in a hurry.
Well, he can fly. Wow. We've seen that. There's no question if Wilkin Ramirez ever gets into a groove at the plate good enough where he can get some MLB at bats, there's no question he could be a 30 stolen base guy, if not more. Not too many guys like that left. The Braves could use some speed. Atlanta's been near the bottom of the National League in steals the last few years.
And that's something I think is going to be different this year. Freddie Gonzalez is probably going to be more aggressive on the base pass. So you'll see guys taking off, getting in the scoring position. A situation where there'll be manufacturing runs more times than not.
Fly ball crossing into foul ground and out of the reach of Manziel at third. Of course, another big part of that equation, they thought they really had a good answer to that with Nate McLouth. If Nate McLouth puts up the kind of numbers and gets on base the way he's capable of doing, he could easily have 20+ steals. Last year, the season that he had, of course, that took away maybe your top stolen base threat.
No question. A lot of expectations in Nate and steal a lot of bases.
And Young draws another walk. Back-to-back walks drawn by Matt Young. I'm telling you, it's the small zone. It psychs pitchers out. Here's a look at Matt Young. Matt Young, a regular last year for Gwinnett, played mostly outfield, some second. A fan favorite there. He'd love nothing more to make it on the big club, but if he doesn't, he'll be starring at Coolray Field again. Conrad hitting righty. Jumps on the first pitch and fouls it away. Well, the Braves will be on the road for a bit after this one. Taking on the Mets tomorrow in Port St. Lucie.
Good slow curveball.
A rare day off on Tuesday. Next home game will be on Wednesday the 23rd against the Marlins. And then 3 consecutive home games at Toronto, at Philadelphia, and back to Port St. Lucie. And we'll be there with you on the 26th, the Braves and the Mets. Inside for ball 1 to Brooks Conrad. Off the end of the bat to right, but playable, and that'll retire the side. But a 2-run double by Wilkin Ramirez as he continues to have a very productive spring. The Braves back on top as we enter the 8th, 5-3 our score. Fans, WWE's biggest superstars Mark Henry, John Morrison, and Diva Eve will be at the Braves-Twins game on Tuesday, March 29th, meeting fans and signing autographs. Get your tickets today by going to braves.com/WWE. Manzella will start things off for the Astros here in the top of the 8th, and the new pitcher for the Braves is Eric O'Flaherty. He has been stellar thus far this spring. He has not allowed a run in 6 appearances. And you go back to last season, it was an interesting one for O'Flaherty. He had his career best earned run average, 2.45. He appeared in 56 games. It would have been more had it not been for a bout with mononucleosis. In fact, he missed nearly 6 weeks with mono. He was out from July 10th to August 20th. And as I mentioned earlier, that really put more pressure on guys like Peter Moylan to have more outings down the stretch. This guy is so valuable, Brian.
Very valuable, and he was just outstanding, like you said, early in the season. I wouldn't say he was a pleasant surprise, but he did so well and was so reliable early in the season. Like you said, it really affected that bullpen in the second half when he got sick.
The Braves have a new first baseman in for Freeman. That's Joe Mather. former St. Louis Cardinal. Swing and a miss, strike 3. O'Flaherty, 94 miles per hour in that fastball.
It's a high fastball. Young guy can't be chasing that pitch. But then we just talked to Bobby Cox, but just imagine if Bobby Cox would have had O'Flaherty all year, how easy it would have been to make some decisions down the stretch. And it just goes to show what an outstanding job Bobby did in his last season.
Well, I think you've said it a number of times. You could make the argument that it was one of, if not the best managerial job that he did with Atlanta. Considering all the adversity down the stretch, to still get in the playoffs and come within 3 one-run losses
wow.
to the Giants, to advancing to the League Championship Series. Guess what makes you feel a little bit better is that ball's booted. What makes you feel a little bit better is that the Giants, of course, went on to win the World Series.
Well, it doesn't make me feel any better, Mike, because that could have been the Braves. And it was just that close. And it could have been the Braves beating Texas Rangers. But give San Francisco a lot of credit.
That was Brandon Hicks on the air. First error of the day for Atlanta. Tying run to the plate as the pitch is fouled away. O'Flaherty claimed off of waivers by the Braves from the Seattle Mariners on November 20th, 2008. Boy, what a pickup he has been for Atlanta. 78 appearances in 2009, 56 last year. It kind of makes you wonder what Seattle didn't like about Eric O'Flaherty.
Sometimes changing sceneries really makes a difference in a young player.
And he's a Washington State guy. He's from Walla Walla, Washington.
Walla Walla.
Some good football players have come out of that area. TJ Steele, the batter. 1 on, 1 out. O'Flaherty trying to hold it down here in the 8th. Grounded to first. Nice job by Mather. Over to second for 1. The relay not in time.
Good play by Mather. It's a close play, but good concentration by Mather, seeing that ball in his glove. Good throw over to Brandon Hicks. Wow, that was close.
Yeah, Hicks did everything he could to get it out in a hurry. Well executed. Just an eyelash short of being a double play. The inning continues. Brian Esposito cuts and misses for strike 1. 5-3 game. Braves lead it in the 8th. Derek Lowe looked sharp through 99 pitches today.
Looks like the sheriff trying to make the catch over there. Great effort.
The sheriff got handcuffed.
Yes, he did. And he's shaking his hand. It really hurt.
Usually it's the sheriff doing the handcuffing.
That's right.
Not the other way around. There's the sheriff. We got to give him a little airtime since
Big
we're having
smile.
some fun at his expense. He got the ball anyway. That's good. It was ES as in sheriff earlier. A routine fly ball in and out of the mitts.
I think his partner is giving him a lot of.
It's a looper in the center for a base hit as it had some sink on it. Nobody could make the play, and now they're at the corners with 2 down.
Looked like a jam shot. Got in on the hands of Zito. In my book, that's a line drive. I'm calling home. Said I got one hit.
That's how it looks in the box score.
And that's probably a play, I think, if it was regular season, Nate McLeod would probably lay out and make that catch. But you don't want to take a chance down here in spring training to get injured.
0-2 now the count. O'Flaherty, much like Johnny Venters, every time he has pitched in the spring, it's been for 1 inning, and he is not allowed to run. Strike 3 called, and that streak continues. Eric O'Flaherty looking very good this spring, as is the rest of the Braves bullpen. Atlanta on top 5-3. From the Atlanta Braves on CSS. Tune in next Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be on the road with the Braves, taking on the New York Mets in Port St. Lucie. Go to css-sports.com to see additional Braves spring training games this March right here on CSS. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage of Braves baseball as much as we have this spring. Look forward to another one on the road. We were on the road last year at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa. Mother Nature did not cooperate, got rained out, so hopefully everything will stay fine weather-wise down on the East Coast. Lance Pendleton, the new pitcher for the Astros, a right-hander, and a guy just trying to fight for a roster spot or at least make an impression for Houston. Astros pitching staff led in part by Wandy Rodriguez, Brett Myers, a couple of guys in the rotation. But they're a little bit thin there, too. This is a team that is thin, really, in both facets of the game. And it'll be tough sledding in the NL's Central Division this year for Houston. St. Louis, very talented club. Chicago, always a contender. New right fielder for the Stros is T.J. Steele. McLeod, nice job going the opposite field. Picks up his first hit of the day. Second time he's reached base.
It's just a great job by Nate McLeod keeping his head on the ball, letting that ball get deep, and not trying to do too much, just slapping that ball through the hole between shortstop and third. And that's what the Braves want to see a lot of out of him this year. And here's just a fastball running away. Just kept his head on it. Just dropped the thing of the bat on it. It's that easy, Mike.
I don't buy that for a second. Last year, Nate McLeod probably pulls off that pitch.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a strike.
When you don't have confidence in your hands, you don't allow it to get back, and you want to jump out there and go get it. And that's what he did a lot of last year.
Mather made a nice play defensively the last inning. Now looking to get something done with the bat. Three balls, no strikes on Joe Mather. Braves claimed him off of waivers from the Cardinals last November. He only has 193 lifetime major league at bats, 233 average, and 8 home runs. Draws a walk here, 2 on, nobody out. And we understand Nate McLeod will join us momentarily as he'll be lifted here for Corey Harelchak, the pinch runner. There's a called strike. to Brandon Hicks. One ball, one strike. And we understand now Nate McLeod is standing by. Nate, how are you?
I'm doing good, guys. How you doing?
We're doing fine. We were just complimenting your great work in that last at bat, going the opposite field, 2 strikes. As you see Hicks flying out to left. Talk about this spring as a whole. Obviously much different than it was a year ago. How important was it for you to have a good spring training?
It was very important, especially from a confidence standpoint. Anytime you struggle as bad as I did last year, your confidence is going to take a hit. And I feel like for the most part this spring, aside from maybe a handful of at-bats, I've had quality at-bats, and the results are starting to show a little bit.
Well, what's the difference, Nate? I mean, how did your off-season routine change from last year?
You know what, Brian? To be honest with you, I hit less than I ever have in the past, and because you know when you're working in the cage, whether it be in the off season, during the season, whatever, it's still mentally taxing when you're working on stuff. And so I kind of took this off season to just relax and forget about last season, and you know, I worked on a couple things, and really this spring training I've just been working with Larry Parrish, our new hitting coach, on being aggressive early in the count, and it's certainly starting to pay dividends.
Nate, did you find yourself hoping that this season would begin faster than any other in history? You wanted so badly to turn the page and look forward to 2011.
I think that would be pretty accurate. I was the day we got eliminated from the playoffs last year. You know, if we could have started a week later, I'd have been on board. And you know, I'm happy to put last season behind me, and I'm looking forward to this season with a great team, and I think we're gonna have a lot of success this year.
Well, coming into spring training, Freddie Gonzalez, a new manager. I mean, did you guys have a conversation? Did he make you feel comfortable about this coming season?
Yeah, you know, just told me to be myself, and he knows that I can play, and you know, he understood that last year was a tough year, as I mean, that kind of goes without saying, and it's been a great transition from Bobby to him, and I'm looking forward and excited to playing for him this whole season.
Boscon pops out, and that'll bring up Lucas. Nate McLeod joining us in the dugout. Nate, in a perfect world, 2011, would you like to be the leadoff guy and get back to using the running game? Because that's a big part of your game. You've got the speed, but obviously you weren't able to show it much last year, not being on base as much.
Yeah, you can't steal first, can you?
Right.
You know, to be honest with you, in a perfect world, I would probably hit second. That's with as much as I pull the ball on the ground and as much as Martine's on base, that hole between first base and second base is going to be open an awful lot, and there's a lot of hits to be had there. So I would say, in my perfect scenario, I would hit second, but I've hit a little bit of leadoff this spring too, and I've felt comfortable. So I'll go wherever he puts me.
Where do you think Freddie's leaning on that?
I'm going to say, if I was in his head right now, I'm going to say second, but you never know.
Yeah. Nate McLeod joining us as the Astros about to make a pitching change. Nate, as you look at this team overall, from last year to this, obviously a big addition in Dan Uggla. I can't imagine there'd be as many injuries, particularly late in the year, as there was a season ago. And I can't imagine you would have a season that you did last year. Everybody's expecting the old Nate McLeod to come back. So I would imagine that the feelings about 2011 had to be pretty positive inside the clubhouse.
Definitely. Dan Uggla adds a big right-handed presence in the middle of our order, and something that, I mean, that's just a bonus. And I'm looking forward to obviously bouncing back in a big way. I can honestly tell you that I've never been more excited to start a season, and I think you can understand why. And we're anxious. We're chomping at the bit to get the heck out of here and get up to Atlanta.
Nate, what's the mood in the clubhouse? I know my man Rossi's in there cracking jokes and keeping everybody loose. How's everybody feeling about coming into this season?
Just that same way. You know, everybody, we're all friends, we're teammates, we're friends, and it's just a great group of guys to go to battle with every night. And we've got a good mix of kind of serious guys and some jokesters, of course, but people are kind of using last year's playoff appearance as a starting point, I think, and we're going to work our butts off to get back to the playoffs and make a deeper run this year.
Well, Nate, we're just like you. We're excited. Can't wait for opening day, and certainly look forward to seeing you bounce back in 2011.
All right. Sorry I couldn't be on yesterday. I had to go get a lift in. I wasn't trying to blow you off. I had to go get a little swollen up. Sorry about that.
Well, you made up for it. You made up for it with a great interview today. You covered the whole pitching change. Good job,
all
Nate.
Right, thanks, guys.
Okay,
good luck, buddy.
Nate McLouth giving us some great time there, and again, a real likable guy. That's the thing, you know, as fans, when you get on a guy and you're all upset, you kind of you let your anger out. And Nate McLouth, I don't know if there was a player in baseball that was more heavily criticized by his own fan base at times than Nate was. You really have to be able to have thick skin and sometimes even have a sense of humor. Seems like he's got all of that.
He does, and it was so hard last year. You know, he's one of those guys, one of your favorites. He smiles all the time, and as now being a part of the media, I never wanted to get on him. I mean, because I've been there, I've done it, I've struggled. I knew what he was going through last year. I'm just happy to see him back in a happy place with confidence and feeling good about coming into this season.
What about the thoughts of McLouth talking about he'd actually rather hit the 2-hole than the leadoff spot?
Well, if that is the case, I think, you know, Freddie will take that to heart. And Prado, who's done a terrific job last year leading off with the Atlanta Braves, that may be the case.
Maybe. Lucas swings and misses for the third out of the inning. The Braves will try to nail this one shut, leading it 5-3. 5-3 our score as we get ready for the top of the ninth. We're talking baseball, but the guys are also talking football. Spring football right around the corner on CSS. Don't miss out on a preview of your favorite SEC and ACC teams, including national champion Auburn. Visit css-sports.com for the complete spring football schedule. Tigers will have some very talented guys to replace, that's for sure. The new pitcher for the Braves, Todd Redmond. And if the name sounds familiar, you might remember Todd Redmond's name mentioned rather historically last year. He actually threw a no-hitter in AAA for the Gwinnett Braves.
And that was his second no-hitter. He had one in college, I think he told us.
Fly ball to center. One gone. You know, what's interesting about the no-hitter for Redmond, I remember bumping into Frank Wren at Turner Field the day after, and he said, you know, of all the guys that were on that staff, and there were several guys with just major league stuff, Todd Redmond was probably the last guy you would have guessed. This is not a hard-throwing guy. He doesn't have quote-unquote electric stuff. He's just an effective pitcher. And anytime you can throw a no-no at a level as good as AAA, that certainly says something about his ability to pitch.
It's all about locating, having that command.
This is actually a save opportunity for Todd Redmond. If he can get the next 2 outs and secure a 5-3 Braves victory, Atlanta would improve to 14-8 with a few ties mixed in. Again, we'll be back with you on Saturday, our final broadcast of Braves baseball and spring training. The Braves will be in Port St. Lucie to take on the Mets. And we invite you to join us throughout the season for our Gwinnett Braves telecast as well. Here's the payoff. Strike 3 call.
Good curveball by Todd Redmond.
Tantalizing at 80 miles an hour.
Just he changed speed so well facing Jason. He got fastballs in, and then he went away.
Well, Villar, the final hope for the Astros. Our thanks again to Derek Lowe, Bobby Cox, and Nate McLouth for joining us today. Swing and a miss.
That's just a nasty changeup. 80 miles an hour.
Redmond expected to start off in Gwinnett again this year.
They have a good starting rotation.
Well, we know this. Either Brandon Beachy or Mike Minor, one of them's going to be in Gwinnett. Both of them.
And really, Rodrigo Lopez also.
Strike 3 call. Another floating changeup over the plate for the final out of the inning. Todd Redmond gets the save. And the Braves get victory number 14 of the spring. 5-3 your final score as Atlanta remains undefeated against the Astros. Brian Jordan, some final thoughts.
Well, you got to give some credit to Wilkin Ramirez coming through with a big-time double, 2 RBIs to win the game for the Braves. You talk about that 4th, 5th outfielder spot. He looked really impressive. You know about his speed, and I tell you what, when he hit that ball down the line, he got to third base real quick. And, you know, it's just good to see him swing the bat. And you talk about Freddie Gonzalez making decisions. That's a good guy to really think about putting in the outfield as that 4th, 5th guy.
Atlanta wins it 5-3. We'll put a bow on this one when we return from Central Florida. Braves winning it 5-3.